Hey guys, so today we're going to be talking all about my blush collection. This is a play off of the All About My eyeshadow palettes. This is something that Samantha March and I believe Ali Glines started, and a bunch of people did that video. I did that video. It was so much fun. And then Jessica Braun over here on YouTube, she decided to kind of do that for all the different categories in her makeup collection. I thought that is such a great idea. It's so much fun. So she did a lipstick one. I did a lipstick one in collaboration with Linda over at Glitter Fallout for National Lipstick Day. I will link all of these videos down below if you're interested. And Jessica just did one for blushes. And I had been thinking like, oh, what should I do next? What should I do next? And then, you know, I just kind of forgot about the whole concept. And then she posted her video and I was like, blushes, yes, let's do it. So thank you so much, Jessica, for inspiring me to do this video. So let's go ahead and get started. We're going to start with my newest blush, and if you guys just saw my recent haul video, you will have seen this one. So this is my newest blush. It's still in the box, but this is the one from Chanel. This is not a new shade, but they re-promoted 3 existing shades in like limited edition packaging, which simply means there's like the red CCs on the lid instead of the white CCs. So that's it. So they're the red CCs, and oh, and there's also Chanel in red on the brush. It's usually white. So anyway, this is the blush. I have, as you guys know, a lot of Chanel blushes in my collection, and I don't know why I didn't have this one. I think it always looked a little extra special, micro glittery every time I went into the store because they have those like really bright lights, and I thought, oh wow, like that's a little bit too much for me. But with Chanel blushes, I've learned the micro glitter pretty much dusts away. Most of it does. So when you put it onto your cheek, you really don't see like that much of it. You'll see like a glint here and there, but it's not as much as what you see in the pan. So anyway, this is my newest blush. My oldest blush, now this was like a guess because I had a few that that were kind of in contention, but I'm pretty sure this is the oldest. I definitely purchased this while I was still living in New York City, so this is at least 3.5 years old, and this is the NARS Madly blush. So it is a gorgeous nude tone blush. This is still one of like my all-time favorite blushes ever, and Alana Davison here on YouTube, she is the one that inspired me to get this. I think she posted a video, again, this is like probably 4 years ago, where she kind of went through her blush collection and she talked about how much she loved it, and it looked like that perfect nude, and I don't think I had anything like that in my collection. I was really in like a mauve blush kind of mood, I remember at that point, and I had a bunch of like mauve like toned blushes, like deeper cool tone blushes in my collection that I think I've pretty much decluttered at this point. But I purchased this, and this was just such a nice change, and yeah, and I love it. So I'm pretty sure this is the oldest blush in my collection. If not, it's old. It is really old. All right, most expensive blush in my collection has got to be this Sicily. It's like the Orchid highlighting blush. This is in the shade Coral number 3, and these blushes are $112. And I love this blush. This is not an overspray, so all of the colors are all the way down to the pan, and there's like a beautiful satin sheen. Actually, let me try and swatch this. Blushes are, you know, notoriously difficult to swatch, but let me see if I can get a nice good one there. So there's the Sicily blush. It has a beautiful, beautiful satin sheen. I really love it. If I remember correctly, this did have an overspray like over the Orchid. Am I remembering that correctly? Anyway, I think it did, and it made it a little bit more metallic, but that is all gone. I definitely have used past that if there was an overspray. But anyway, this is my most expensive blush in my collection. And then my most affordable blush. This is always tricky because I'm like, should I calculate out by like, you know, cost per ounce or anything like that? Anyway, I didn't bother. I just took out the one that was actually the cheapest. So this is the Natasha Denona Diamond and Glow like mini palette. So this is split between a highlighter and a blush. You could actually use this as a highlight as well because it is so shimmery and metallic. But because it has like that pink undertone to it, I end up using it as a blush, but it is very, very light. So this one is $19. I just looked it up on Sephora. So this is the most inexpensive blush in my collection. Next up, my everyday blush, and I had to pick out 3. I feel like my makeup collection is just everyday makeup. I really don't have that much that isn't everyday. So anyway, I thought I would share 3 of them with you. The first one is Chanel Jersey. And this one is just, it's great. As you can see, it's neutral. It has a little bit of like peachiness to it. I've talked a lot about this blush. So this is the first one that came to mind. The second one that came to mind, if I want something just a little bit more on the cooler side, a little bit more pink, I always think of this Chantecaille blush in, I always call it Horse, but the actual shade name is Joy. But this is one of their Philosophy cheek shades. So it has the horse on there. I don't know if you guys can still see it. But this one definitely had an overspray that I've used through. And so this is just a really beautiful, like I said, you know, it's just a pinkier shade. It's pinkier than the Jersey. And then I'd have to say my everyday blush as of late is this Dior Rouge blush in the shade 219. I have been just going on and on about this blush. I was surprised how much I loved it when I hauled it. I was surprised at how much I loved it when I hauled it. I've just continued using it, and it looks pretty peach, I want to say, in the pan, but I feel like this is one of those really pretty blushes because it has like this like shift to it. I don't know if you can see that, but it kind of shifts a little bit more pink. So I feel like this is one of those magical blushes that can lean warm, it can lean a little bit more neutral, and it's really just lovely and has such a lovely sheen. Let me just swatch this for you, even though I've talked about this endlessly, but that is this right here. That's so pretty, and it's like just bright enough. It's great for the summertime. I don't know if this is going to end up kind of carrying into the fall winter for me in terms of everyday, but for right now, this has been my everyday. All right, next up is most colorful, and I have a tie in this category, which really surprised me because, like I was just saying, I feel like my collection is just really full of everyday type of blushes, but I do love a blush. So the Scott Barnes blush palette, this is very colorful for me. Like this Mango Fizz and this Rose color are really, really bright. And I happen to love both of these shades. The Rose I'll use alone, it's just gorgeous. The Mango Fizz I like to mix with shades just to kind of warm them up. So this is definitely one of my most colorful blushes. And the one that tied with that palette is basically the palette I've created of my Surratt Beauty blushes. So I have them all stored in this Adept Cosmetics palette. And so I've got this shade here, this shade which is kind of like a highlighter, which is kind of like a yellow. I have this orange shade in there. So this to me is incredibly, incredibly colorful, especially for an everyday makeup lover like myself. I'll list the pink and the orange shades down below. I think those are the most colorful. But I remember when I looked at the Scott Barnes, when I opened that up, I was like, oh, that kind of reminds me of like the Surratt Beauty blushes that I have. So those are the most colorful blushes that I have in my collection. Next up is the blush that has the best memory for me. And this was kind of difficult. I just, you know, I love all of my makeup for many, many different reasons. But I decided to go with this Charlotte Tilbury First Love blush. These are her Swish and Pop blushes. And I kind of discovered Charlotte Tilbury around the same time that I was kind of getting back into makeup. And this was one of those products that, you know, I had never seen before. I had been out of the makeup game for so long that all I remembered were, you know, like MAC blushes and Chanel blushes, blushes that had been around for decades. So when I saw this, I was just like, you know, just really, really like, wow, like really excited by it. I loved the 2 shades in one. I loved that it looked like a nipple. I just thought it was so great. It was so innovative. It was just such a fun idea. It was like, you know, there I was getting back into makeup, and anytime I saw these new products, which again were just so new to me, you know, these nipple blushes, highlighters, all these things that were completely new, just really, really excited me. So this definitely has a very good memory for me. And then the blush that I think is worth the hype, I think these are hyped. I'm pretty sure these are hyped. I'm pretty sure these are loved by many. I'm pretty sure that these are talked up by a lot of influencers at least. And I know a lot of you comment on how much you love these blushes as well. So I thought I would mention the Hourglass blushes. They have a few different like types of blushes. I admit, I'm like a little bit confused by all the naming or whatever, but this palette is of strobe lighting blushes. And then I think they just have ambient lighting blushes. In any case, they're all marbled you know, like Hourglass powders, are pretty much all marbled. And I really, really love them. I think they give such a beautiful sheen to your cheeks. All of the colors that they have are just really gorgeous. Every time I open up this palette, and I have a few other palettes and I have them in singles, they're all gorgeous. I don't think I have come across like one Hourglass blush dud. They also have like longevity. I never feel like they fade really quickly. So I would have to say that the Hourglass blushes are definitely worth the hype. All right, not worth the hype. I have two to name, and I've decluttered all of them from my collection, but these are beloved blushes here on YouTube, and I mean, I think they're beloved everywhere by customers across the world. But the first one is the Tarte Amazonian Clay blushes, and the second one are those Clinique Flower Pop blushes. I think that's what they're called. When I first purchased them, I don't think I was as educated in like brushes as I am now, and now I know that you need to use a firmer brush, a natural haired brush, something that's going to really pick up a baked product, because they both are very kind of like hard pressed in the pan. And then when I realized that, I was like, oh, okay, and I was picking up more product, but every time I put them on my cheeks, I just find them to be really like, wah, wah, wah. Like they're very anticlimactic. All I see is that it's given my cheeks a little bit of color. And I know that's basically all blush does. But I like blushes that really give me life, that give my entire complexion like this lit from within, this glow, this brightness, where instantly I look healthier. And I never feel that way with the Tarte or the Clinique blushes. I just find them very, very flat. I find all of the shades to be okay, but like none of them are very special. And yeah, I'm just not a fan of them. And again, I know they're just loved by all, but I don't get it. I just don't think that they're worth the hype. All right, favorite blush from a favorite brand. So I decided to go with Tom Ford. You guys know how much I love Tom Ford. And this blush, Love Lust, is, as you can tell, much loved by me. This is a gorgeous, gorgeous peachy shade, and it has like a little bit of a sheen to it. This formula is gorgeous. It's like a little bit on the softer side, so you have to be like a little bit careful because they're very pigmented too. So you have to be a little bit careful when you apply them to the cheek. But oh my God, these blushes are so beautiful, and this shade Love Lust in particular is just stunning. So let me find a spot for this. But it's like the perfect peachy blush with that little bit of like lit sheen there. Isn't that gorgeous? There are no micro glitters or anything, not like the Chanel or even the Hourglass. It has like just a few of those like particles kind of floating around. None of that in this blush. This is just a straight up beautiful sheeny blush. And I love it. This one I actually have not used in a while. I need to take this one back out. So my most used blush, I'm not sure, and I think I said this in my other videos that I've done in this format. I like to rotate my makeup a lot. I really don't like to use the same thing every day. I really like to try and play around with different things as much as I can. But from what I can tell, I feel like, and I just showed this palette to you guys, but this Brilliant Nude, I don't even know if you can tell, but it has like divots in there from where I've really kind of like dug into this blush. And this, I was definitely going very, very hard with this blush. I think a couple winters ago when this palette first came out, it was, I think, for like the holiday season. And man, oh man, I went really hard with this blush. I think this Tom Ford Love Lust blush, which I just mentioned, is right there behind the Hourglass Brilliant Nude. So those are the two that I feel like I use the most. I know there's a lot of Chanel blushes that I've used quite a bit, like that Jersey blush that I just mentioned, like the Golden Sun that I love, which unfortunately is limited edition, so I try not to talk about it too much. But it's really hard to tell. These Chanel blushes, I feel like just last forever. I feel like you could use these blushes every single day and you would still have like a mounded appearance after a year of using one blush. I mean, they really do just last forever. So this could be up there as well. I just can't tell. It's just hard to tell. Most underrated blush. Now, I don't know if these are underrated because I think anyone that has used them loves them for a very good reason, but they're not talked about very much. And I'm gonna go back to my Surratt blushes. These blushes are, I mean, beautiful. The formula is beautiful. The shades are beautiful. You can mix and match them. Some of them are matte, some of them have shimmers. This entire artistic blush line is so gorgeous. The formula is so fine. You get such a beautiful, like almost like watercolor effect on your cheeks. They're gorgeous. I don't know why these aren't talked about more. I'm actually guilty of it. I don't use these on camera with you guys very often. I don't know why. I think I want to do a full face of Surratt Beauty because he actually just came out with like a new like lash tint. It does not look like a typical mascara. It doesn't have a typical wand. So of course I'm incredibly intrigued. So I definitely want to pick that one up and maybe do a full face of Surratt. If you guys are interested, definitely let me know down below in the comment section. I just think it would be so much fun. My favorite foundation is the Dew Drop foundation from Surratt, so it would be so much fun to do a full face of Surratt again. I haven't done it in a while. But anyway, I think his artistic blushes are the most underrated blushes out there. Most nostalgic for me has got to be, I think it's just a tie between the Chanel and the NARS blushes. These to me, they're just, yeah, they're just full of nostalgia for me. The Chanel blush, if you guys watched my video when I talked about like my makeup collection, if I, wasn't a beauty guru, it included the Chanel blush because I just remember like my best friend's older sister having a Chanel blush, and I just loved watching her do her makeup, and she would just have this, laying around on the bathroom counter, and I would always take a look at it, and I just loved this like round mounded shape. Like this one brings back good memories to me. And then the NARS blushes are very nostalgic to me too. I mean, I want to say the whole NARS line is really nostalgic to me. It was one of those first makeup artist lines that really hit it big. And this black rubber coating, it was like, wow, that's so cool. I feel like the multiple stick and these blushes were like I couldn't get enough of them when I first discovered NARS, a gazillion years ago. So yeah, so the NARS and the Chanel I think are the most nostalgic for me. All right, and last but not least, most disappointing. And you know what's funny? I think Jessica Braun in her video talked about how this was one of her favorites, or maybe her everyday blush. Anyway, she loves these. I don't get along with these. These are the MAC Glow Play blushes. So I got 3 shades because I thought for sure these were just going to be like my new favorite blush. I love the formula. Like I love that kind of like putty type formula. It's not like a full-on cream. It's not like, a pressed powder. And the colors that they came out with are absolutely gorgeous. Like I love this formula. It's just like this kind of dense cream formula. And like I said, like the colors are really, really beautiful. I actually don't know the name of the shade because they messed up. They put Cheeky Devil on 2 of these shades, which are very, very different. And I don't know which one is right. I completely forget. This one is like a much lighter pink, and this is the one that I just swatched. Anyway, beside the point, I have tried using these blushes in every single way, and they just fade on my skin. I don't know what it is. My skin just eats this right up. But I want to say they last about like an hour at this level of like pigmentation, and then all of a sudden it just looks like I didn't put any blush on. And I remember the first few times that I used this, I was like, oh, this is so pretty. I love it. It goes on so nicely. And then I would look in the mirror a couple hours later and I would be like, didn't I put blush on? I really thought I was going crazy. These blushes were like gaslighting me, but yeah, they just fade. They just fade on me. So I was just so disappointed in them. And I know I've mentioned this before, and a lot of you say that they stay on perfectly on your skin, which is amazing, which is so, so great. I just wish they stayed on mine. So that is the most disappointing for me. And that is it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Please let me know your thoughts down below in the comment section. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Don't forget to check my description box on the other videos that I did, like in this same style. So much fun to do. And subscribe down below if you haven't already. I'll see you in my next video.